Step into the world of power, loyalty, and luck.
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
With family, cannolis, and spins mean everything.
Now, you wanna get mixed up in the family business.
Introducing The Godfather at ChumbaCasino.com. Test your luck in the shadowy world of The Godfather slot.
Someday, I will call upon you to do a service for me.
Play The Godfather now at ChumbaCasino.com.
Welcome to the family.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
You are about to listen to the Dr. Daliah Show. Sassy, stimulating medical talk radio. Any medical advice Dr. Daliah Wax gives on her show should not be substituted for an actual visit to your medical provider. And now, here's Dr. Daliah.
Awesome. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. 1-877-Doc Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. All right, so this is cute. You know, I've worked at multiple different places throughout my career. Waited tables, worked at Jack in the Box, tutored, taught, and it's very interesting when you have nicknames for coworkers. Now, I would never call somebody a nickname. Now, I remember being called the Energizer Bunny because I was always going around, and I was always, and I didn't mind that because, I worked hard. But there's some nicknames for workers who don't work hard, who are lazy. And these are interesting and kind of funny. So I want to read some of these to you. So, one, and I got to try to keep these clean, okay? So one is the desk chair. So a coworker will be called a desk chair because they always fold under pressure. There's another nickname, the butter knife. That's for a coworker who's not the sharpest tool in the shed. All right, the butter knife. Kit Kat. Some coworkers are called Kit Kat because they're always taking a break. Coleslaw, because they're 90% cabbage. I don't get that. They have a nickname called the G-Spot. You can never find the coworker, so they call them that. This is crazy. Lantern. Some coworkers are going to be called Lantern because you always need to carry them, and they're not very bright. Another coworker nickname is ET because they always want to go home. Seaweed is another one. Floats around all day and stinks. That's funny. One says motion light. That is a coworker who only works when somebody walks past it. I'm sorry, these are pretty funny. I like these. These are pretty good. All right. One is Arthur, does half a job. Another is, this is not clean. You know what? It's not dirty. But one is called, there are, I guess some coworkers are called foreskin because they disappear when things get hard. That's okay. These are nicknames for coworkers. Okay. I didn't make these up, but what I want to talk about is how we actually have, muffler is another one where they're always exhausted. Cordless. Somebody could be called cordless because they only work for 2 hours. Wheelbarrow. They only work when pushed. Broken arrow. It doesn't work and you can't fire them. I'm sorry. These are great. Hold on. Let me see if I have any more. That was from somebody named Josh. All right. Let me see. I'm getting some of these online. Blister. The coworker only comes up after the work is done. They're called a blister. Fungus, not worth much, but grows on you. Let me see if we have any. 2 watt. Nothing is dimmer. 20 gauge. Thick and difficult to work with. Yeah, a gimlet, a small, boring tool. These are kind of funny. Let me see if I have any more. Oh, yeah, 007. 0 motivation, 0 skills, but 7 bathroom breaks. Okay. I'm sorry. This stuff is funny. Okay. So What's not funny is I think many of us have had coworkers that were 007s or seaweeds or motion lights. And that's tough. And one of the reasons why there's these nicknames is because people don't want to necessarily get into it. Usually a good manager or boss is supposed to get on top of this. If there's somebody not working and messing around or always going to the bathroom, I love that 007. That's brilliant. That's 007 because they're always in the bathroom. Usually good management is supposed to be on top of this. And unfortunately, the manager could be also seaweed, a motion light, a blister, whatever. So if you are the energizer or the busy bee, what do? Well, for me, I just want the work done. But I also don't want to be taken advantage of. I really can't stand being taken advantage of. That makes me mad. If I feel like I'm getting used, whoa, oh, that doesn't happen. But I just can't do a crap job. I cannot do something half-assed. I really struggle with that. Now, maybe I think I'm doing a great job and it does look, but at least I want to feel like I got the job done. And so, when you do have coworkers like this, one thing I'm picking up the theme from all these nicknames is these people won't change. If you have somebody that only works for 2 hours and that's it, you're not going to get them to work 3 in an 8-hour shift. If you have somebody that always wants to go home, ET, you're not going to change that. They want to be home. And one thing that's kind of sad, I know we're laughing at these nicknames, is unfortunately these are pretty real. And when you work with individuals like this, you can't change them. You can't motivate them. Broken arrow doesn't work and you can't fire it, right? Like these are problems. This is why so many workplaces are toxic. This is why things don't get done. I've seen this in all aspects, whether it's in marketing, whether it's in government, whether it's in academia. And you know, maybe these workers start out being an Energizer bunny, but once they realize, well, if you stand out, you could get your head chopped off, so why don't I just lay low and blister or seaweed around or motion light? I really like the motion light. I would pass by people's desks. Once they heard footsteps, it would look like they were working. And it's just me. They're like, oh, just you. And then they go back to their solitaire or whatever. Their Amazon. I think it's hilarious, but it's sad. Because the fact that we have these nicknames, and these nicknames are so true, and we have images of the person. I already have images of the people who would be nicknamed and probably need their birth certificates changed to these nicknames. This is why things don't get done, and we don't have good quality work. 1-877-DOC-DOLLY, don't go away.
This is an urgent announcement for anyone that's $10,000 or more in debt. Before you make another minimum payment, you need to know there are special programs that can completely free you of your debt. Total Financial Freedom can help you become debt-free in months instead of years. Resolve your credit card debt, signature loans, department store cards, internet loans, and timeshares. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020 for a free consultation. For 16 years, Total Financial Freedom has helped thousands get out of debt. You can feel confident when calling because Total Financial Freedom is A+ rated by the Better Business Bureau. Battling for years and years stuck in the endless cycle of minimum payments could take decades. You have the right to get your debt resolved and substantially reduce your monthly payments. Call Total Financial Freedom now at 800-878-6020. That's 800-878-6020. 800-878-6020.
Let's face it, guys. We're living in times where the truth is becoming more suppressed and censorship is increasing at an alarming rate, especially on social media platforms. It's Clyde, and I want to tell you about a safe and secure digital playground we put together just for you. It's aftermath.media. You get access to thousands of Ground Zero archives and podcasts, along with our private social media groups with your basic membership starting at only $7 a month. Each subscription includes tech support, access to the RSS feeds, along with our own chat room and Telegram channel. In addition, the premium membership includes research study groups, webinars, a document and movie library, a live video stream of Ground Zero, a monthly Zoom chat with me, and other bonus content. Be sure to check out our yearly specials as well. Sign up today while you're thinking about it. Sign up at aftermath.media. Again, that's aftermath.media.
Bubba Wallace here from 2311 Racing. Funny thing about being fast, you end up waiting a lot. First to show up, first in line, then just waiting. Me, I rev up Chumba Casino. With over 200 social casino games, no slow lanes here. Why sit around when you can spin? I'm already racing. Your turn. Play for free at ChumbaCasino.com. Let's Chumba.
Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Dali, 1-877-DOCDALI. Big thanks to Talk Media Network for making the show happen. Big thanks to Daniel, our producer. And big thanks to y'all for tuning in. We really do appreciate it. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter or X at Dr. Daliah, Facebook, The Dr. Daliah Show, and on YouTube, click like and subscribe. So this caught my eye. A doctor from England who was training in America, or I think she was a resident doing residency. Residency happens after medical school. You go to high school, you go to college, you get into medical school, you do medical school for 4 years, and then you do an internship for the first year, postgraduate, and then you do a residency in your specialty. Now, my internship was combined with my residency. It was a family medicine residency. It was 3 extra years on top of medical school. Well, I believe Dr. Nicole James relocated from London to Chicago in June. And she, on her TikTok, talked about some of the differences between medicine in the UK and US and was pretty shocked. And she actually used the term crazy. That doing a residency in the US is quote unquote crazy. She graduated from medical school, is I believe doing her residency in cosmetics, but she had to do her internal medicine rotation within that. So when I did a family medicine residency, I had OB training, pediatric training, geriatric training, urology, radiology, a lot of training. No, actually, radiology I got in medical school. But you get training that you're going to need, sports medicine, ortho. So for cosmetics, you still have to do elements of internal medicine, so you understand that. And she listed some examples that surprised her. She said it's a different world than the NHS, back in England, the National Health Service. She said, I'm still getting used to it, but there are things that have completely thrown me off so far. She said in the U.S., doctors give everybody a CAT scan. She quotes abdominal pain. She says, abdominal pain, guess what? You're getting a CAT scan because you just never know. She said, it's crazy how much they scan people here. Baffles me, scares me. These people are getting irradiated. It's insane. Now, one thing that she is probably not understanding is what happened back in 2002, where the insurance companies, St. Paul, a malpractice insurance company, said they're done. They have to pull out of Nevada, where I live, because there were too many malpractice lawsuits. And when they pulled out, doctors in Nevada had to find a new malpractice insurance. And new malpractice insurances wouldn't take you if you had a lawsuit. They thought you were high risk. So a whole bunch of doctors had to leave Nevada. That's why there was calls for tort reform, because the lawsuits were so bad that you couldn't keep a doctor in Nevada or insure them. Now, I never had a lawsuit, so I was able to change from St. Paul to another insurance. But the doctors who did have a previous lawsuit and couldn't get insurance had to leave the state. It was ridiculous. And so CAT scans are being done because if you miss the tumor, you get sued. and that person could die. NHS, I'm assuming, is much less litigious. But in America, if you I got to tell you, it is lawsuit after lawsuit, the failure to diagnose. So until we address the lawsuits, there's going to be scans done because no doctor wants to lose their license missing a tumor or a perforation or something else. Now, I think she's over-exaggerating. Not everybody is getting a CAT scan. But I'm sure we scan more than the UK. The NHS spends government money. The U.S. system is more private. And spending per patient has to be lower because the NHS in the UK is already struggling for funds. I think they average, according to Daily Mail, about $5,000 per patient per year. Whereas our American system, it could be about $11,000 per patient per year on average. She says she noticed another aspect of being a doctor in the U.S. is not getting a 2-day weekend or more than 1 day off in a row. She says, turns out they don't believe in weekends off in the U.S. as a medical professional. We work 6 days a week, every single week, and 1 day off a week. Oh, you're lucky. I didn't even get that. That would be nice to have a whole day off. She's having it much more cush than I did in residency. She said if they tried to do this in the UK, there would be a riot. Forget strikes, there would be rioting, and there would be no doctors left. Now, isn't the UK, and I'm not saying America is right to overwork their doctors. Absolutely not. We should be getting 2 days off. But what is the UK dealing with? There's not enough doctors. If they're having if everybody's taking time off, who's there? That one of the reasons why residents work as much as they do is to keep it staffed. So there has to be a better way. She's right to bring it up. That's a stark difference. She said only 2 weeks, she said, into this residency, and it actually felt like 2 full years. I'm exhausted. And then a third thing she noticed is that they don't carry pagers. Now, I had to carry a pager in residency, but that was in the 90s, late 90s. She said there are no beeps. They don't have physical pages. We just message everyone. You just send everyone a little text and they reply. The nurses, the consultants, it's crazy. Now, she actually likes not having a pager, but I'm kind of shocked that the UK is still using that older technology. The pager, I was traumatized by mine. Dun, 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 dun. That was my tune. I would try to change a tune, but every time I heard that tune, I would seize up because that would wake me up from my sleep. If I would somber off doing 36-hour shifts. And so every time I would hear a pager, the day I got to get rid of that pager, I threw it out or smashed it. I was so glad to be free of that pager. But you page somebody, it beeps. You then have to run to a phone and then call them. I'm surprised the UK is doing that or even spending money on pagers now that everybody has phones. So she liked not having to hear a stupid beep every 5 seconds. You can even get the pages to your phone. It's wild. I love it. I don't have bleep PTSD. But, this is healthcare. It does shock me that you have two very rich, wealthy countries and medicine is delivered so differently. And both systems have problems. The NHS is a mess. This is why I never want to go socialized. There's always riots. There's always strikes. There's always more demand more demand for doctors. And the NHS doesn't have enough money. And many individuals are not able to get their scans or the tests they need. Now, America is turning into the UK. You used to be able to get into a doctor same day. You used to be able to, I would take same day appointments. I was open on Saturdays. Come in. I will take care of you. I'll see you. You need an MRI. I'll order it. Ask the insurance to pay for it. That was lickety split. You could sometimes get a test the next day. Now, the average person, it takes months for them to get in. I am hearing that the average person will not be able to see a doctor till 2026 in America. Well, that's the way it's like in the UK. What's happening? Well, rather than having a bunch of us doctors that are family owned in the neighborhood, Obamacare changed all that. The only way to make a living in medicine is now to be a part of a corporation and become hired physicians. And then corporations are running things. And now it's a different incentive. See, me, I knew my patients. If Mary or Bill called up and told my nurse, I need to get in, I knew why. I understood their family situation. I understood. I knew. I got everybody in who I could. And I actually rarely turned anybody down. I told you about that one patient who was knocking on the door at the end of a Friday after shift on Friday. We decided to take her in. And then because her insurance said she had deductible and she got a bill for her gynecological exam, she tried to claim I never saw her and she never was examined. And I told the insurance company, did you pay for her vaginal culture? They said, yes, we did. I go, are you still questioning if I saw her or not? They're like, no, you saw her. We would take everybody who needed it. And now, well, if you're a part of a corporation, you get to clock out. These people clock out. They're not going to open up their office later to be there for patients. And patients are seeing the changes. 1-877 Dr. Daliah.
Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
Dr. Daliah here. Are you tired, burned out, gaining weight, succumbing to the daily pressures of life? Well, how's your dopamine doing? How you feel right now, how you'll feel an hour from now, and how you'll feel next week is completely reliant on your dopamine. Our daily motivation and willingness to push through challenges depends on the intricate chemical process dopamine provides. Christian Kalikas and I created Deploying Dopamine, a book that tells you what dopamine is, when it dysfunctions, and how to successfully deploy it when needed. Find Deploying Dopamine on Amazon today. Check it out.
Increase fuel economy up to 7.9% with Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme, the solution to maximize your engine's performance and fuel economy. Whether you're driving a sports car or a daily commuter, Gasoline Extreme is specially formulated with PEA to deep clean. Don't settle for an average driving experience. Upgrade to Hot Shot Secret Gasoline Extreme and go further on each tank. Order now on Amazon or HotShotSecret.com. Hot Shot Secret, powered by science.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? If you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. Choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses. So don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877 Dr. Daliah, 1-877 DOCDALI. So many people are really nervous about what's going to happen in New York City with Zohran Mamdani possibly having an easy path to becoming New York City mayor if who he's up against are a bunch of individuals who can split the vote. And there is a huge, shall we say, growing momentum for Eric Adams, Curtis Sliwa, and Andrew Cuomo to figure out their issues and combine into one candidate and pick one candidate. Because at this point, the self-proclaimed socialist who has been accused of anti-Semitic sentiment is not a favorable candidate for New York City, not to mention many of his socialist, possible communistic suggestions. And the heat is turning up. Now, the problem we have with politicians is everybody is narcissistic. They all have their own agenda. And so to see Eric Adams, Andrew Cuomo, and Curtis Sliwa getting on the same page, if each one thinks I'm the one that's going to win, I'm good, I'll have enough votes, and we're all looking at this going, come on, guys, really? If just one of you went up against him, you'll win. But if the three of you think that each one of you is going to become mayor, that's a problem. Now, I commend Curtis Sliwa for what he has done with the Guardian Angels. And I think he is a formidable opponent representing the GOP, but he never wins, and he probably won't in this case. You need the moderate Democrat vote. And I think, for those individuals who are looking at the pool, Eric Adams had, even though former police officer, had issues that Trump had to, I believe, pardon him for. You had Andrew Cuomo, who a lot of people didn't like, had to leave the governorship due to sexual harassment claims. This is not, you don't have really ideal candidates. And you also have Democrats going, wait a second here. He does not represent Democrats. And so this, New York is a big deal. It is. I don't live in New York, but, seeing that he wants to, what he is recommending and not recommending, but what he is planning with government-run grocery stores and rent freezes and charging rich people more. Even Mark Cuban says this doesn't make sense. He says they're unrealistic. He said he's not going to endorse any of the mayoral candidates. That's Mark Cuban. And Mamdani is really appealing to individuals who can't stand that their city, New York City, which is a beautiful city. I'm a big fan of New York. I love New York City. I go there every chance I get. But it's ridiculous to live there. It's too expensive. And the idea that he is going to make public transit free, buses free, subways free, grocery stores cheaper, rent cheaper, freezing rent. People who struggle in New York City are liking what he's pitching. Is it realistic? They're already at a huge deficit in terms of what they're collecting in taxes and what they want to spend. So his answer is, let's just charge rich people more. And rich people are like, I don't have to live here. He wants to raise the corporate tax rate to 11.5%, add an extra 2% income tax onto New Yorkers who make more than $1 million. Now, the average middle-aged and lower-income citizen would say, that sounds fine by me, and they'll vote for him. And all he needs to do is make promises to get in. Even if this isn't realistic. Even if corporations say, I'm out of here, or rich people leave and they say they're out of here. And there are a lot of millionaires in New York because you can't afford to live there very easily without having a good income. But I really do feel he is going to end up being the next mayor. And as a Jew, I find that very, very concerning. when he won't condemn the globalizing the Intifada campaign, when he won't speak out for the Hamas hostages to be released. And he has a father who believes that suicide bombers are not barbaric, that it is a military tactic and strategy. That's some frightening stuff. And I'm kind of shocked that he got as far as he did in New York City. We had September 11th in New York City. And we're not big fans of Intifada and terrorism. We're not fans of that. And even though people say, well, he's just trying to not talk about it. Really? See, any candidate in New York City needs to convince New Yorkers that how they survived September 11th and what made them stronger, New York strong, is making us more vigilant. And our attitudes towards terrorists, towards violence, towards cartel members, gang members, is going to be one of the strictest. We don't tolerate any of that. They got to our city once, maybe twice with the 1993 World Trade Center van bombing, but no. And he's not, people forget. A lot of people who voted for him weren't even alive during September 11th. So, this is a concern. And I understand you have a lot of people in America that say, why isn't communism considered more as an option? Why aren't we going more socialized? The media make rich people look really, really bad. And some of these rich people are complete idiots. But you need wealthy people to hire us not so wealthy people. You need somebody to have money to pay for your health insurance. This is what I was talking about before. We have a system where I need an employer. I mean, I don't, because I pay for my own health insurance because I'm an independent contractor with my work. But, when you're asking your employer to pay for your day off, for your sick leave, for your maternity leave, for your payroll, pay into your Social Security and Medicare, and then on top of that, pay your health insurance, that person has to have deep pockets. Or that company has to have deep pockets. And then what do? We turn around and we hurt employers. Well, they're not hurt if they're making $1 million. Well, if their rent is costing them $850,000, their food is costing them $150,000 a year, their utilities, their parking, they aren't rich. And I'm not trying to play a violin for somebody who has $1 million salary in New York, but you can't just keep on saying, well, the rich have to pay more, and there's not enough rich people to pay more. This is why we need to get more able-bodied individuals with no dependents and no medical issues back to work. We need tax dollars from middle America. This is what makes the world go around. And if you're just expecting a few wealthy people to carry everything, well, then it's not going to look like America. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.
Have you ever thought you'd like to buy and sell houses but didn't know how or where to get the money? My name is Ron LeGrand, and over the past 40 years, I've bought over 3,000 houses without using my money or credit and taught thousands to do the same. Today, even in a virtual environment, we buy nice houses in nice neighborhoods using no banks, realtors, contractors, or other costly entanglements, and build huge cash flow and wealth without the hassle of tenants, all without credit and little or no money. You don't need a license or experience, and I'll show you exactly how it's done. Text FREE to 99799, and I'll send you my free training. I promise you I'll change the way you think about real estate and open the door to a new lifestyle that doesn't involve risk or rehabs and can quickly replace your current income. Text FREE to 99799 and let me show you how to take your life back and build cash flow and wealth from your home. That's FREE to 99799. Again, FREE to 99799.
As an organ donor, your story doesn't have to end. The good in you can live on. In fact, you could save up to 8 lives and restore sight and health for many more. Sign up right now online as an organ, eye, and tissue donor. You'll be happy you did. And just maybe, someone else will be happy too. Go to organdonor.gov. It saves lives. U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Health Resources and Services Administration.
It is Ryan Seacrest here. There was a recent social media trend which consisted of flying on a plane with no music, no movies, no entertainment. But a better trend would be going to ChumbaCasino.com. It's like having a mini social casino in your pocket. Chumba Casino has over 100 online casino-style games, all absolutely free. It's the most fun you can have online and on a plane. So grab your free welcome bonus now at ChumbaCasino.com. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
All right. We are back on the Dr. Daliah Show. Thank you all for tuning in. 1-877-Dr. Daliah, 1-877-DOCDALI. So 2 of your questions I want to address. One of you asked, why do murderers or suspects or criminals smile or laugh during their court case? What sort of psychological, I guess, name would you give that, or action is that? I'll explain what I think is going on there. And then another one of you asked if I know what's happening with the Menendez brothers. Okay, so I know as much as you on the latter, but really quickly with the former. I see this a lot where you'll see, I remember O.J. Simpson smiling and, you know, talking to his counsel, and you'll see murderers do that where they're talking. Karen Reed looked like she was having a conversation. I guess in the news they're talking about this teacher who, a South Carolina teacher accused of molesting a 14-year-old boy, was smiling in the courtroom. So there's a few things that could be going on. One is, you know, many of these criminals are completely out of their mind. And so they might be completely oblivious to how victims' families are sitting there in the courtroom, not wanting to see you, you know, acting very flippant. And, oh, yeah, this is just same old, same old. It's just an everyday thing for me. I'm in the courtroom, you know, being tried for murder or molestation, and it's all good. You know, it's all a part of a, Tuesday. So sometimes it could be that they are not of sound mind. Another, though, issue is it could be a tactic where when you look at sadistic, murderous individuals who are completely out of their minds, their lack of empathy, their lack of facial expression reminds jurors that they're a monster. And so you might have the legal team want to humanize the individuals. And since somebody looks more, shall we say, benign when they smile, sweet, human, it might pull on the jury's strings. Also, if it looks like they're having a conversation. You know, somebody sitting there motionless, staring off into space, not appearing to be sorry, you know, that gives jurors a different feel, and it makes it much easier for them to convict them, give them the death penalty. But when you have somebody that's sitting there, going, oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, that's a good one. That was funny. They're talking and looking like they are like any other human. How could this person have murdered somebody? They're acting like other people. So it could also be a tactic. I'm not condoning that, but that's what I'm seeing. Whenever I see that, I'm thinking to myself, okay, I think the legal team wants to make it look like they're able to integrate into society and they are practicing social norms. As you could see, how could this person be a killer or a molester? So I think it's a tactic. That's just me. In terms of the Menendez brothers, we're being told by People magazine that a Los Angeles judge might overturn their murder convictions. Prosecutors right now have 30 days, so it's still going on. Prosecutors have 30 days to show cause as to why the brothers should not be entitled to habeas corpus relief. They are currently eligible for parole. They have served decades in prisons for the murders of their parents. And Eric and Lyle Menendez have been now in the news a lot once a judge ruled that their conviction can be reviewed again. And with that review, if it does get lessened to 20 or 30 years, then they're out of jail. They were put in jail back in the 90s for the shotgun murders of their parents. Even the family of those deceased have been fighting for their release. And the family maintained that the killings were in response to alleged sexual abuse. Now, sexual abuse should have never happened, and it is horrific to think that those boys endured that. But I believe they were 21 and 19 at the time of the killing. And it wasn't in an act of abuse. The father and mother were sitting watching TV, watching a movie. And so even though sexual abuse was originally in the first, I think, court case, and then in the second court case, they weren't allowed to bring that up again because apparently one of the brothers was talking to a girl who he thought he was dating, but she was actually a reporter saying, yeah, I lied about it. Or I don't know what was going on with that, but because there was some concern of fabrication of it and lack of evidence, even though some of the family witnesses said they believed it to have happened, the big question remains is they were 21 and 19. They didn't have to go into the house. They could have moved away. They could have gone away. They could have called the police. They didn't have to murder the father and then murder the mother who didn't abuse him. So that's where it, that the concern of sexual abuse, might have swayed a jury, to not give them the death penalty. But how do you explain murdering the mom? So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered. But they've been in jail now for, I think, close to 30 years. So Judge William Ryan found that they made a prima facie showing, if I'm pronouncing that correct, showing of their entitlement to habeas corpus relief, unless prosecutors could show why the brothers should not be. So they're looking into the evidence. They have 30 days to decide, I guess, to look into it. And then if a judge resentences them to, actually, they say regardless of the outcome of this petition, the brothers still have a path to freedom after a judge resentenced them in May to 50 years to life in prison, making them immediately eligible for parole. And their parole hearing is scheduled for August. Now, California Governor Gavin Newsom also has the power to grant them clemency, but has said he plans to wait until after a decision is made on parole. So one issue that might come up, and for me, I don't really care whether they're released or not. I don't believe they would be a risk to others. And if they did serve their time and they did show that they turned a corner, were helping other, from what I understand, they were model citizens in jail, helping other inmates. But a concern I have is you have two rich boys who were able to get their sentence relooked at because of a Netflix special drawing attention to the situation. how many other individuals are going to want that same treatment? And so I think everybody and their mother is going to want their cases reviewed and renewed. Why just the Menendez brothers? And that was murder. So the only concern I have is, on one end, I get that we in society and we in court systems looked at things differently. I mean, look at marijuana. People having such a cow about Bill Clinton smoking marijuana. He had to say, I smoked it, but I didn't inhale. I mean, it was ridiculous how we were. And even more so, look at how ridiculous it was the way we treated individuals of different races and creed and gender and color. So society changes. And then, but to say, well, now we have to reevaluate all the cases tried. We have murderers that are supposed to be serving life in jail for their murder 20, 30, 40 years ago. Do all of them get the same treatment, VIP treatment, as the Menendez brothers? And that's going to be the next question. 1-877-DOC-DALIAH. Don't go away. Hi guys, Dr. Daliah here. Addictions can sneak up on us and come in many forms, whether it's drugs, alcohol, sex, video games, porn, or something less obvious such as food, internet, or shopping. Addiction can seem innocent at first and then evolve into an insurmountable evil. In our book, Addiction Basics, Caitlin Kalikas and I dive into the common addictions and provide tips for identifying and preventing these before they sneak in and take over our lives. Addiction Basics can be found on Amazon or my website, drdaliah.com. Check it out.
Carl Amari here to tell you about our newest website for old-time radio lovers. It's 100radioshows.com. At this site, there are 5 old-time radio shows waiting for you to download free as our gift to you, and be sure to browse the additional 700 old-time radio shows available to you for 70% off by using the promo code RADIO at checkout. This is a limited-time offer, so log on to 100radioshows.com. That's 100radioshows.com.